I ask this of every guest. If you had to sit down with any athlete, dead or alive for that matter, who would that be and why?
Wow. I was not prepared for that question. Who would that be and why? Give me a moment, because I don't want to mess that one up. I don't want to regret my answer. An athlete. Who and why? Um, you know what? I think I would want to sit down with Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, uh, known as Chris Jackson, his birth name, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf now. He is a scientist of the game. He's Muslim. He's dealt with a lot of things. He's suffering from the Tourette's disease or syndrome. I don't know how you call it. And he's managed to have an extremely successful professional career. And his skill set is unparalleled. He was the Steph Curry of the NBA before Steph Curry. And I know of many people that have met him that he's very humble and very approachable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would love to be able to just chat basketball with him, chat life with him, and just learn from his experience. And I think it'd be very interesting. So my first choice as of today probably would be Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Okay, I have two answers, two players. The first one is Spencer Dinwiddie of the point guard of the Brooklyn Nets. The reason for that is obviously I follow him on LinkedIn, but I always wanted to meet him just because, like, I think his values, things that like entrepreneur spirit, some things that identify myself in, and I just want to pick his brain about like how he matches the two, and I'm very interested into the blockchain technology, not necessarily the crypto aspect of it. I don't necessarily think that's going to work, but just the technology behind it, I find it very innovative, and just pick his brain about like the intersection of sports and entrepreneur spirit. I found that very interesting, and I think like, there's a bunch of players that are doing it right. Like Kevin Durant is doing it right. LeBron James is doing it right. I think he's doing it right. But he's doing it in a very different way. And I think 20 years from now, his value is going, like, people are going to be like, oh, we should have definitely do it this way. Because what he's setting himself up for, from a technology standpoint, I don't see any other player doing it. It's very interesting. So definitely be Spencer Dinwiddie. The other one would be Jackie Robinson. And the reason for that is, obviously, we know the story. You've seen the movie, the first African American to play Major League Baseball. But I want to understand how. Like, there has to be, and that's the thing, right? The sensational, right? So, like, the movie is beautifully done, and, like, you hear, but it's, at the end of the day, he had to go back to his house and look at his wife and was like, okay, like, we're going to come back for one more game. We're going to come back for one season. And I try to put myself in that situation. And obviously that's why, he's Jackie Robinson and what he's able to do for the game of baseball, but just for all sports in the United States. He's just, I want to hear from, like, I want to hear and then see the expression in his face of, like, how was he able to do it? Like, what pushed him through, and, like, just I love conversation, just like understand that, because for me that's amazing. Like, because it's two things. It's obviously he loved the game, and, like, you're an athlete, I'm an athlete. You know how much love you have for your sport and things of that nature. But to have that much love, but then the on the receiving end, you have so much hate, and it doesn't matter how good. And it's one thing if, like, you're not producing, or like you're disappointing yourself in your production. You have hate, because you can understand. You're like, oh yeah, you hate me, I hate myself too, because I suck right now, right? But, like, it's not that. It's like he was producing, and you have pure hate, and it's like you have to battle the two, and it's interesting. And I would love to just, like, if I could have, just have a conversation of how and why, and because that's servant leadership, right? And for me, it's, I always want to understand, how, what pushed you through, and also like, because obviously him making that decision to keep playing, it doesn't just affect him, but it affects his wife and his children, right? So how do you know, what also make them to understand that and accept that burden, right? Because obviously, as his wife, she understands that she accepts that burden for not only the cause but also for her husband. Because she could have said, "Look here, dude, um, this is not for me. This is not for me." But she didn't. She did not do that, and it's, for me. That's obviously, that's what, those people like. Legacy is one thing that pushes me, and obviously, their legacy is going to, to the end of the road, this name is always going to resonate, and that's what is always going to matter. But I want to understand that, like, how, like, what creates that aspect of the person. So yeah, that would be my answer. Spencer Dinwiddie and Jackie Robinson.
Oh, I don't know. You put me on the spot. I don't want to say the typical, I guess the first that comes to mind would be someone like Michael Jordan, but I think that's because I was a big fan of Space Jam growing up. And not necessarily to do with the basketball, but the fact that I really loved the Looney Tunes, and he was, he was a celebrity to me, not because of his basketball, but because he was in a movie with Bugs Bunny. Like, that's really sad to say, but that's probably who I'd choose.
That's a good question. One athlete, dead or alive? Because as soon as I say a name, I'm gonna instantly think of someone else that I'd really like to sit and talk to. He was I met him once, but like, one of my childhood heroes was Daley Thompson. Came from near where I lived. I would see him training at our local track. Obviously watch his exploits in the Olympics, and not only was he a phenomenal athlete, he was a little bit on the edge for the establishment, and I quite like that. Another one of my favourites at the time was Steve Ovett as well, and similar. I think you're either a Seb Coe person or a Steve Ovett. I'm definitely a Steve Ovett fan. Again, a little bit cheeky, would do things that weren't quite what the establishment would like, but would deliver. So it'd be Daley Thompson, because he's just an absolute legend. He's one of the few people. I remember when it was the Commonwealth Games in Manchester in 2002, one of the first major games that I'd kind of gone to as a multi-sport game. And lots of people were getting very excited as you walk around the village of spotting superstar athletes, and all the sort of contemporary modern day ones didn't really bother me. And then I saw Daley Thompson walking, and like, that was it. I was a mess, because it was just, for me, I thought he was an awesome athlete.
Wow. That's a tough. Do you know, no one's ever asked me that question before. That's a tough one. You've got me, just trying to think. It's tough, obviously, because I literally crossed paths with Kobe when I was 15 at a basketball camp, because it was an invitational basketball camp, and everyone was saying, "Oh, there's Kobe Bryant. He's the best player in the country. He just came back from Europe. He's unbelievable." And like, I followed Kobe like his whole career, and I always watched his life after, when he stopped playing basketball. I felt he did more for the world in basketball and for female basketball than what he ever did when he played sports, which I found was unbelievable. So he actually, before he passed away, he was on my number one list to meet, because I wanted to pick his brain and have an understanding of like the Mamba mentality, of the winning mentality, and like the being the person that's like relentless to find the success within what they're doing. Apparently he just was like, he was nuts with it. Like, he just fought, and that's why they made all the funny commercials. So I guess it'd have to be Kobe Bryant. I think it'd have to be now, like, because even now I listen to some of his podcasts, and I pick the gems. Sometimes he says something and I'm like, that's exactly what I needed to hear today, because that's what I'm thinking. And it lets me know as well when someone who you think is a genius has a thought process, and then you feel that, wow, that is my thought process, it allows me to realize that I'm in the right space myself. And yeah, it's Kobe Bryant. So I ranted a bit there. Sorry.